Good afternoon, Cherries fans, and welcome to this latest show here on Up the Cherries in all departments. Of course, we are safe. We've recently been beaten by Chelsea, but we have a team who are literally only a point above us. That team is Crystal Palace. Now, before we do welcome on our special guest, here's a bit about our sponsors, Dental on the Banks. To find out what they can do for you, visit dentalonthebanks.co.uk. So, Crystal Palace started the season under Patrick Vieira, the legendary Arsenal midfielder. However, he's recently left, but it was after our game earlier on in the season where, let's be honest, we played terribly. Um, he went on a losing streak, which then lasted, losing and drawing streak, which lasted till the start of April. Of course, at that point, Crystal Palace welcomed back a trusted pair of hands in Roy Hodgson, and they pretty much pulled themselves clear of that relegation zone. To discuss this match against the Eagles, it is a pleasure to welcome back on to the show from Eagle Eyed Football, Rich. Good afternoon, Rich. How are you doing?
Doing very good. Doing very good. Guess I could put my feet up, and I'm sure you feel the same way too.
Yes, yes, we are both safe. We were both a little bit worried, weren't we, earlier on in the season when we played each other. Um, After the game, we were very, very worried because, let's be fair, we were terrible that day. Um, did you expect us to effectively roll over so badly? And of course, Vieira took full advantage of that, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a weird one because your games prior to that, I believe you had like some cracking games. Like you got Leeds and Spurs, where you went ahead in that, and obviously, unfortunately, they came back. But then you had the first game where you were behind and you came back, and so I thought to myself, it's going to be a crazy game of football, you know.
Mhm.
But it turned out, and luckily for us, we didn't really have to get out of second gear, you know, and we exploited the one weakness you do have, which is obviously set pieces.
Patrick Vieira, then. Let's talk about the former manager, a man that I've got a lot of admiration for. Was a great midfielder for Arsenal. Was tough, tough player. But in ways, he come across as quite soft, didn't he, in his interviews? And do you feel that he was too soft on the Palace players?
You know what? Yeah, he actually came out and said that because obviously we had Sean Derry at the time as number two, and Sean Derry would actually berate the players and such. And Vieira said to him a couple of times, that's not the style I want to have with these players and
Mm,
such." And I think the final straw was Everton away, where we were terrible, by the way. We
yeah.
were really bad, and Derry went and literally laid into players, and Vieira was really unhappy about that, and effectively Derry got released from his duties. But I think you're right in saying he was a bit too soft. I mean, yes, it's good to have like the arm round the shoulders sort of feel to it, but if we're not pulling our finger out, the players need a bollocking,
Well,
and it didn't come.
well, definitely. Of course, that game against us was the start of something pretty bad, wasn't it? Because from New Year's Eve, you went without a win until the start of April. And of course, it cost Vieira his job. Um, Palace got dragged straight back into it because before that, before the World Cup, you were in quite good form. You'd got yourself up to in top half at one point, as high as ninth.
Yeah, you're right. It was looking good. I mean, I guess the only stumbling block just before the World Cup was our defeat to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Um, but it was looking good. It was looking good. I wouldn't say we were playing the best of footballs, but we were best of football. But we were getting the results we needed. Um, After the World Cup, now I must admit we had a terrible run in.
Hmm.
It involved having played, I believe, all of the top eight
Yeah.
or six out of the eight and stuff. Man United twice, Newcastle, Brighton twice,
Hmm.
um, Chelsea, Spurs, Liverpool. It was a really, really mad running.
Yeah.
I think the thing that didn't help Vieira is not so much the results, and yes, it is a results based business,
Hmm.
but we were just playing terrible football.
Yeah.
It's literally like we went 3 games, no shots on target. You know, it might have been 4 even. Like it was so bad. We didn't think where's the next goal. We were thinking when's the next shot coming. Have we even troubled the goalkeeper? So, like for me personally, I openly admitted that I would have liked Vieira to stay on until the Leeds game.
Hmm.
Just say like if after that tough running, then we had like Leicester, Leeds, Southampton. If he didn't get like 4 to 6 points out of those the Leicester Leeds game, then I would have definitely said, yeah, you need to go.
Hmm.
But he went before the Leicester game. He went after the Arsenal game. No, after the Brighton game. Sorry, just before
Yeah.
the Arsenal game. Um, International break came along, and we had Roy Hodgson, which was like, oh my gosh, why are we bringing him back, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think we all held our hands up and said, you know what, he's done a phenomenal job.
There was some criticisms of Steve Parish though at the time because when people looked at Palace's fixture list and saw you had Leicester, Leeds, Saints, Everton, all in a row, Wolves as well, West Ham. So all the teams around that bottom half of the table. There was people there that turned around and said, "Okay, if Vieira had those games, he probably would have got results." But do you feel that Vieira? It was right to sack Vieira at that time. Do you think that he would have got anywhere near what Hodgson had got?
We're safe. So the right decision was made.
Yeah.
As much as like the nostalgia of it and like the love of Vieira, especially what he did for us in the first season, we can't say that they didn't make the right decision. And like I said, I probably was one of those who's criticizing the board as well because I thought, all right, we're getting rid of him, but what's the plan?
Mhm.
And when I'm thinking, Roy Hodgson, like let him retire in peace, sort of thing. But then I used that international break to just gather myself. And I thought to myself, in all fairness, there's no one actually out there.
Mhm.
Vieira's gone, and there's no one actually out there that knows the club really. So him coming, I was thinking to myself, at least he knows the club. He knows some of the players that are still there. Um, let's see how he does. Roll on Leicester. We could have been about 15 goals up in the first half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you destroyed them. You absolutely destroyed them. And when you think to what Vieira, uh, how Vieira was struggling to get those players, those same players, to get any shots on target, and then you just tore Leicester apart, didn't you?
Yeah, literally. And then we went 1-0 down. I'm thinking this is typical Palace here
Mm,
and such. But we deservedly got the win.
yeah.
I don't think anyone could argue. And it was just nice to see attacking football. So, like I said, we went up 3 to 4 games with no shots on target. I think against Leicester in the first half alone, we had 20 shots. It was
Hmm.
something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it was just free flowing football. And then what we did at Ellen Road was everyone from that moment was like, wow.
Hmm.
Went to Ellen Road, tough place to go. We've not had best of joys there, and to be able to destroy them,
Yeah.
with just fast, free flowing football skill. And then the most important thing is he got the players' confidence back up.
Mhm.
Eze looked back on form. Elise looked back on form and playing in his right position. Ayu looked good. Jeffrey Schlupp. These are like Schlupp and Ayu were the two that are definitely out of favour.
Yeah.
And they've all of a sudden become probably the best two players, minus Eze,
Mhm.
since Roy's come in. So yeah, he's done a great job.
Well, of course, Hodgson, fantastic manager. He's always been a fantastic manager, even though, some people criticise him because of his time in the hot seat of England. To be fair, he's always done a decent job wherever he's been. Do you think he's got the bug back now and will carry on after this season, or do you think he'll call it time and say, "Look, I've done what I've needed to come. I've come back, done what I needed to do, and that be it."
No, I think he's done. I think he's gonna go upstairs.
Mhm.
There are rumors he's kind of go taking like a mentoring role for
Yeah.
1 year and such. I don't know if that's for the new manager that comes in or for like Paddy McCarthy, who was the under 21 coach who's been promoted to first team coach. He might be his mentor because Paddy may end up being the future Paddy's manager himself. So yeah, he's not going to take the hot seat. He's not.
No.
But thank you for everything you've done. And I guess this time around, because when he first left us, we were kind
Mhm.
of on a really bad losing streak. At least he gets a proper send off this time around.
Yeah, definitely. He will do. I'm sure he'll be absolutely hailed and forever remembered at Crystal Palace for what he has done, especially this time round, considering it all looked like it was going wrong and going in the wrong direction, and quite quickly as well, wasn't it? But
No, it really was. But happy days now, 100%.
definitely, you have mentioned there Erebesieze, Michael Olise as well in that midfield centre pairing. Those two have really impressed me. And I watched that game that you played against Leeds, and those two were excellent. Are you worried about losing one or even the pair of them?
Right. So there are rumors that Elise said he doesn't want to go anywhere, which is good, but you can
Yeah.
never be too sure. PSG are sniffing.
Mhm.
And a club of that stature, I'm sure it'll be very difficult for him to say no to. Obviously, I guess with the news that Messi might be leaving, I'm hearing Neymar might be leaving as well. I think they're looking to rebuild with youth and they're targeting Elise. So he's one. We'll have to
Mhm.
wait and see. There hasn't been any news on Ebbs at the moment, any transfer, but as a club like us, like we're going to have to expect bigger teams to be coming in for our better talents as such. What I want us to do better as a club is that we sell them off for a decent amount and then
Mhm.
bring in another player in and stuff, and kind of similar to, and I hate saying it, but Brighton's model and Brentford's model. They're very good at it. Get someone in for 5-6 million, sell them off for 60. You know, and that will generate more income for us to it. Then if we can then be further sustainable, then we might be able to climb the league a bit easier and such. And I even look at your like you've obviously got new owners now. Your January window is, in my personal opinion, is the reason why you're still up.
Yeah,
It was
I
it
agree.
was it was such a good window. It was
Mhm.
positive. It was bold, and I think we spent like 10 million in our window, January window, and that's probably part of the reason why we got sucked into this mess.
I think it's a good point because the sort of players that we signed, were sensible buys. The likes of Don Guattara, Hamad Traore as well, of course, a loan from Sassuolo, and Matthias Viña as well. He's been very, very good. So, yeah, I completely agree with you on that. You do have a defender as well who's recently been called up to England, Mark Guéhi. He's been outstanding, hasn't he?
He's been brilliant, but I think he's gone in the summer. Arsenal, Chelsea, and Tottenham
Hmm.
are all sniffing around. They're touting it about 50 million. Hopefully, we can get more because he's an unbelievable defender. Unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, another defender that we know quite well is Joel Ward, who, believe it or not, played for Bournemouth at one point. He was promoted with Crystal Palace 10 years ago and has been there ever since. Do you feel that he's got a future at Palace under a new manager?
As a squad player, hopefully. I mean, we've had Joe Ward and Nathaniel Klein for way too long. You
Mm-hmm.
know, to think we sold Aaron Wan-Bissaka 5 years ago.
Hmm.
I think it was what 4 or 5 seasons ago, and we haven't replaced him. It just shows that the lack we've done. Our business hasn't been great, to be honest. It's been a lack of business. And I think we've kind of rode our luck. If you look at the grander scheme of things, you've got other clubs that have either come up and they've surpassed us, or just other clubs that have come up and spent more. And what we don't want to do is be sucked in because we just not being there like financially astute. But Joe Ward's been a great servant for us, loyal servant. As you said, I think this is his 11th season as well. You
Yeah.
know, and he's done a great job for us. He's playing well at the moment as well under Roy, so fair play to him. But yeah, keep him as a squad player, but we definitely need another right back.
I was looking at your transfers in actually, and um, to be honest, a lot of them, free transfers and undisclosed payments. Do you think that was it Vieira that was making these signings, and do you think he was trying to bring through because quite a lot of young players in there as well? Of course, Alawobi, who was at Derby County, was quite highly rated, even though they were relegated from the Championship. But do you feel that he was trying to bring in these players and trying to plan for that long term?
Yeah, we literally changed our whole model. After Hodgson left the first time, obviously brought in a younger progressive manager in a sense. We changed our playing style, and there was a
Mm,
massive emphasis of nurturing a lot of younger players and such. So yeah, but the only problem we had, like we said, is just a lack of investment. Like you said, there's a lot of free transfers and stuff, which is all well and good that we're saving money, but we've not really tackled areas that we should have as well, which is a massive problem. Tyreek Mitchell's our only recognised left back,
yeah.
so he's actually pretty much played all season, and if he's not playing, then it's Joe Ward or Nathaniel Klein having to move from right back to left back. You know, things haven't worked out for Odson Edouard or Mateta, in my
Hmm.
opinion. So even a striker would look in that area. We had to bring in Sambi Lokonga on loan, and he's now not seeing minutes because Jeffrey Schlupp's playing so well in midfield.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of the players that we brought in, I wouldn't say they haven't really worked out, unfortunately.
From looking at it, there's not any that really jump out as being starters. I think most of them have gone out on loan, haven't they? From what Vieira bought in during the summer.
Yeah, so like Luke Plunge, Ebiori, they've both gone on loan. It's safe to say, like Malcolm Ebiori's loan hasn't been the best at Hull. Luke Plunge has had the. I don't think he's even. I don't know if he's even playing for Lincoln at the moment. Yes. But some of our younger ones, like Killian Phillips, Scott Banks, they're having more successful loan spells out and such. So, and especially Jez Ratsaki, he's having a brilliant season. He had a brilliant season at Charlton, so I think they're more likely to make a breakthrough if need be.
Well, of course, Palace will be in the Premier League next season. We'll be in the Premier League next season. And of course, there is all this thought that players could be on the beach, but of course, the higher up that you finish, the more money you get. Um, and how important is it really now, because Roy Hodgson is likely to leave, or in your opinion will leave the club or go upstairs? How important is it to finish on a high now?
Yeah, I mean, he came in, and that is the one thing he said he wanted to do, is to get us to finish as high as possible.
Hmm.
It's not it's one thing, obviously, just surviving, but I think, and then like I said earlier on, with the clubs that are progressing, we can become a top 10 side. You know,
Hmm.
I think there was a lot of hope and optimism this season as well, just based on how last season went, that we could even maybe see if we could nick a Conference League spot. You
Yeah.
know, which now I look at the table and I think, wow, we had a really crappy January to like April, and we're probably like 10 to 15 points off. It
Mhm.
it wasn't. It's not so far fetched of a dream, But we have to look forward to next season. Hopefully, we invest. Hopefully, we build. I know we've got the main stand that's going to be expanded to about 35,000. So that's going to take about 4,000, 3 to 4 seasons to
Mhm.
get that up and running. So that will bring in some revenue. The owners, eh, obviously, John Texter, he's got like a multi-club model and stuff, which I think will work well in the long run. But it's just about balancing the finances in the sense of like making sure it's distributed like evenly across the clubs, or accordingly across the
Yeah.
clubs. Because Leon is one of his other clubs that he's got, and obviously, unfortunately, they've just missed out on the Champions League, which so that's going to probably set back his ownership in, like, financially. It's going to have a massive setback. So we might face the brunt of that, unfortunately.
I believe John Textra and Bill Foley do know each other quite well as well, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, I heard they're good mates from what I know. So yeah, look, Texter's come in and he's definitely pumped in a lot
Mhm.
of money to the club.
Yeah.
And trust, we're definitely grateful for that. And the reason why I feel like the multi-club model can work is, for example, like Musa Dembele, Leon striker, he's
Mhm.
apparently out of contract,
Yeah.
at the end of the season. So hopefully,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what his wages will be like, but that would be a nice way for a player from Leon to come to Palace. I think
Yeah.
Hassan Owa might actually be on the out of contract this season as well. So
Mhm.
there are players from Leon that maybe we might be able to take. But yeah, we just have to wait and see.
Of course, we don't have a particularly very good recent record against Crystal Palace. In fact, the first 7 games that we played in the Premier League, we only had the one loss against Palace. But since then, it's kind of fallen apart and we've lost every single game. Um, so I guess it's a case of, how do, yeah, we've got to put that to the back of our mind. Of course, that game earlier on the season was absolutely terrible for
Yeah,
us. But I ask everybody on the show. I asked you last time what the score was going to be, but how do you think this will go, considering we're in decent form and
you
you're in
are.
decent form?
I think you're going to set up to counter attack.
Mhm.
Because please correct me if I'm wrong. You were quite not gun ho previously, but like
Mhm.
it was like a basketball game whenever Bournemouth played, you know.
Yeah.
But obviously Gary O'Neill, and you know what, I've got to give him credit because I know a lot of people don't. Um, but he's done a great job in being able to adapt.
Mhm.
He's made you a bit more defensively solid, but you still haven't lost that threat going forward. We're gonna have to make sure Solanke and Billing are very quiet. And I'm not saying that they're your only threats, but the way you play and you get the ball wide and you cut balls back into the box and so on and so forth. We're gonna have to be on our A game to make sure that those two are kept quiet and such. And I've noticed obviously now as well with the signings of your new fullbacks that they're bombing forward a lot too.
Yeah,
I think the key for us is where you're going to be compact. We're going to have to try and pull your centre backs apart because
yeah.
there is the tendency for Kelly and Senesi
Senesi, yes. Yeah.
to play too far apart.
Hmm.
And that's probably going to be one of our joys. The other joy, as we mentioned earlier on, is set pieces. Now,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, we're bad at defending them too. So
Mhm.
those were the areas we'll look to exploit you.
Well, hopefully we've got a little bit better at those. So with Jack Stevens in in defence, he's been a lot more solid. Of course, signed on loan from Southampton. Um, Personally, Matt actually said he reckons this is going to be a 3-3 draw, and actually we're going to do a watch along on Saturday for this game, and I think it's going to be a I think it's probably going to be a draw. We're probably both going to cancel each other out. I think there is going to be that element. I don't think we'll, look at the previous results we've had against Crystal Palace. I'm going to go. I probably won't go for a frill. I'll probably go for a tour. Tool. So, how do you reckon it's going to go, Rich?
Because we're at home
Hmm.
and our last home performance against Everton was terrible, I think we'll win this 3-1.
So, based on the poor performance last time, you reckon
Yeah,
you'll see a response?
I think we'll see a response. And obviously we lost to Tottenham in our last game, so yeah,
Mhm.
there'll definitely be a response at Selhurst Park.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised with that at all. And the final question is, of course, Chelsea are in 11th. Can can you finish top of the bottom half and finish above Chelsea?
But please. And this is why I was so disappointed in you guys in not
I
beating
know.
Chelsea because honestly, Frank Lampard, that fraud of a manager, I want to finish above him so bad. I'm sorry. Like there was a time he was linked to us and he said he doesn't want to manage Crystal Palace because they're a small club. And ever since I've just anyway, yeah. Now honestly,
Yeah,
in a sense, no, I do hope we finish above them. It'll be great for us.
yeah. Hopefully we can both do that. But
Yeah.
I think unfortunately, I think Frank might get a couple more wins, which might make it difficult. But you never know. You never
Yeah,
know. Let's
you
be
never
honest.
know.
He wasn't very good at Everton, was he?
He wasn't.
He was absolutely
He
terrible at
was.
Everton.
When you think about it, he's not really been good anywhere he's been. He had that one season at Chelsea where he played the youth and they did decent. But apart from that, he should have got Derby promoted and didn't.
Mhm.
He went to Everton, nearly got relegated first season. Started this season terrible with them. Gone to Chelsea and Chelsea just been on free fall. So
There you are. We might as well as look because it's getting quite close to the end of the season. I think Southampton are pretty much gone. They would have
yeah,
to be a Houdini to actually get out of their situation. But the other two to go, of course, Forest, Everton, Leicester, and Leeds. Those four, I think West Ham probably we can say are safe as
yeah, I
well.
think they're fine. Yeah,
Which of those
it's
four do you reckon is
it's
going to,
so
or
tough
which of
because
those two?
I had Everton in there with Leeds,
Yeah,
and then Everton went and battered Brighton, which I was. I mean, with my Palace hat on, I was like, "Get in." Brighton got battered, but then I went Everton down, so it was just like um. So I'm going to say Leeds and Leicester.
Do you know what? I was exactly the same as you before last weekend. I thought Everton aren't going to get out of that. They're going to get absolutely destroyed by Brighton. Um, you know, I thought Leeds were always going to struggle against Man City, and I think they're going to struggle this weekend as well. Um, but I just couldn't see a way out for Everton at that point. But after that victory, you know, wow, they've shocked me. They've shocked me. And I'm actually thinking exactly the same as you. I think it's going to be the three that are in there at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, just gonna have to raid them in the summer because they've got some decent players, both those clubs.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. And this was another thing as well that I was reading. Is that some people want Everton to stay up because they are likely to get points deducted next season.
Oh yeah, the FFP situation,
Yeah,
which is a bit crazy and stuff. But wouldn't it be funny if they had that in the championship?
I don't know if it would apply. I
Oh, it
think
might not. Be, okay.
because
Oh,
is it because it's
actually,
been
then.
done in the Premier League? It's a bit suspicious because, of course, some teams, avoid the punishment from the Football League because they go up into the Premier League or
Yeah,
go down to the conference. Whereas, does it work the other way? I don't think we've ever seen it,
we have
have
to
we?
wait and see. Yeah, and yeah, they don't have the pulling power of Man City to hire 100 and whatever lawyers and such. So I don't see them getting away with it either.
No, I don't think so. I think they might be stung in the summer and start on minus points. But before you go, Rich, I'm going to make you full screen for this as well. You know what's coming. Tell everybody where they can find Eagle Eyed Football.
Hey guys, I really appreciate you, Craig, and big up to Matt, obviously at the back as well. Yeah, you can find us on YouTube, Eagle Eyed Football. On Twitter, it's at Eagle Eyed Ball because there weren't enough characters. But yeah, we are a Crystal Palace fan channel and such, and yeah, fan cams, watch alongs when we can, predominantly at the games, and yeah, we just love talking football. So yeah, come find us.
Excellent stuff. And it is a really, really good channel. So please, please, please do go just below and hit that subscribe button on the Eagle Eyed Football as well, because Rich, will really appreciate it. But Rich, honestly, thank you so much for coming on the show again.
No
Um,
problem.
I'm sure we'll be doing this next season, won't we?
Yeah, 100%,
Yeah,
100%.
unless there is something that just comes out of the blue, we'll both be here, and we'll both be here next season.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know whether or not pulling our hair out. Hopefully not. Hope you never know. We might be both pushing for Europe after this.
Uh, let's do it. Let's
That would
do
be a
it.
dream, wouldn't it? Can you imagine? It looks like Brighton might get Europe this season. Brentford are just probably going to miss out. How
Yeah.
about Palace and Bournemouth in Europe?
Why not? Let's have some fresh teams in there.
Exactly, mate.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Thank you so much again, mate. And
No problem.
no doubt we'll catch up with you after the game at some point.
Definitely. Take care.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us on this show. Please remember to hit the like, the subscribe, and the bell button below to be alerted to any new videos we do. Also, do check out of all of our recent interviews, plus also our cherry picking podcast shows as well. So until the next show, up the cherries, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you for joining us.